Podcast 1972. Chris, what podcast is it?
This is podcast 110.
So that means we've been going strong for 110 weeks in a row.
Mhm.
And there's only one time that I had to record a podcast solo, and I could have killed you for that. I was talking to myself the entire time.
Yeah, how about
Why did that happen? Was it because you were sick or something? I can't
that
remember.
was the time my laptop broke.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the laptop broke.
Yep, yep, the
Yeah,
laptop
so
broke and I
yeah,
couldn't
that's what it was.
download.
Right. But I
So,
think
and I
yeah,
was sick
and you were sick for 3
for 3
months.
months,
Yeah.
literally. That was funny because as some of the viewers may not recognize yet, because I didn't really make a big to do about it, but I'm on the Roku channel now with my channel.
Mm,
And I turned Roku on the other last night, as a matter of fact, and we was looking see what kind of episodes that they chose to put on their channel.
mhm.
And on the one tab, um, they have a bunch of our podcasts on the one tab. They got like, I don't know, like 8 of our podcasts up now.
Mhm.
So we was watching some of them, and my daughter was like, "Was you sick at the time you recorded that?" I was like, "I
Mhm.
was freaking sick for 3 months. I
Yeah,
sounded
right.
like a frog for 3 months,"
Right.
you know? And you know what? All that stuff's going around right now.
Yeah.
I think I had what was going, what's going around now.
Yeah.
I had it back then, because everybody's getting this walking pneumonia crap right now.
Yeah.
But
My mom, she had pneumonia.
yeah,
Like 3 weeks ago, but
bunch of guys
she's
at
good.
work are sick.
Yeah, and then my dad had the triple bypass surgery
Mhm.
December 5th. He was in the hospital for a week, came home, was recovering, and then he got bronchitis.
Yeah,
So that kind of set him back a little bit, but
I guess.
actually a couple people did ask me about my father. Like Instagram message, but he's good. They gave him permission. He can start driving.
Oh,
Like
cool.
yeah, like 3 4 weeks ago, he's walking, exercising, and then
Doing
he had
push-ups,
his no,
pull-ups.
and then he had his final home visit. He was getting home visited
Mm,
from nurses or whatever, checking on him. He had the last visit the other day, and now he has to go do physical therapy.
okay.
So he's good.
That's good.
Yeah. So
So so
yeah.
today we're gonna talk about all the different types of tillages that we used or we would like to use, or, you know, just things that we've done in the past, and we're gonna, like, break it down, each one of them,
Hmm.
things you can do and use at home yourselves with an ATV, because not all of us have a tractor like I do. But folks can use an ATV or a horse-drawn carriage.
Yeah. I I have a lot of experience with discs and things with ATVs. So
You ain't gonna
everybody says they can't do a food plot with an ATV. You can. You have to get strategic with it. Um,
You have experience at breaking stuff on an ATV.
I do,
You're
but I
good
also
at
have
it.
experience with rebounding because you welded it for me and fixed it.
Whoop, whoop.
So why don't we start? Let's see. Why don't we start with a Groundhog Max?
Yeah, I
Because
like it.
I do. I like it. I like it myself. I planted food plots with the Groundhog Max for 5 years.
Mhm.
Um, with the four wheeler that you now have.
Right.
So let's be very specific with all this. So the
Okay.
four wheeler that you bought from me
Right.
is a Yamaha Timberwolf 250?
Yes. 250. Yeah, it's only
250.
250.
Okay. So that was my four wheeler. I
Yeah,
used the Groundhog Max with it, and I had
all-wheel
let's-
drive too.
it is all wheel drive. Yes. I had very amateurly, if that's a word, welded support brackets on the hinge on the hitch to support the downward pressure because
You had the right idea.
yeah, hitches are meant for downward pressure. The Groundhog Max puts upward pressure on it.
Mhm.
So you have to support that. Now that I believe I haven't dealt with that company in years, but I believe they sell kits
They
to
do
help
now.
support the upward pressure
Right.
because a lot of customers were buying the Groundhog Max and it was breaking their hitches.
Mhm.
So they started selling the brackets for it. Um, but I had welded stuff on there and it did work. Did that one break? It didn't break with the Groundhog.
It Yeah, we did break that one.
Did we break it?
Yeah, it
Okay.
actually tore the casing on the
That's right.
axle.
Yes, that's
It
right.
it it tore a chunk, and it was still hanging on by a thread.
Hmm.
So we brought it back to the house, and um,
No, we're giving misinformation here.
what
That was with the black bore. The black bore snapped the hitch.
was it?
Yes, it was 100% the black bore because
Okay,
I
let's
was
not go into
disking
that yet then.
I was disking the sunflowers and
Yeah,
it broke.
we'll get to that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So yeah,
So
so we did. We did do a lot of work. We made a lot of videos with
a
the
lot
Groundhog Max.
used and
Uh,
abused.
we put that thing in the woods.
No.
I think we talked about it last podcast how we did food plot in the woods, and we cut like flush cut stumps and things. I mean flush cut.
Yeah.
They were still sticking up, 6
Right.
inches or whatever. But
Right.
you've got video of me going through those plots and like like hitting stumps and
Hmm.
bouncing over them. I mean, we abused that four wheeler and that tool, that implement, and
Yeah,
it
because that
took
that four
everything we
wheeler's
dished out.
yeah that four wheeler's a solid axle.
Yeah, in the rear, there's
It
no
doesn't have
suspension back there.
doesn't have independent suspension. So when you hit
Yeah,
something, it's you're
yeah.
getting
You
jarred.
get jolted. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, we used and abused that thing.
yeah.
You tore that woods up with that thing, and
Mhm.
then we were disking the bigger fields with that. We were remember we were disking the buckwheat in and all that
Yeah, the first year we was there, before
on
you
that
bought
farm.
your
Yeah.
other yeah, before you bought your other four-wheeler and stuff. Yeah, we
Yep.
was using your four-wheeler to do that all with.
Yep.
Uh,
So
it
people
takes the
can
abuse.
it does. People can use the Groundhog Max to definitely do food plots, 100%. I mean, we did it. We abused it. But
Yeah.
since you're the welder fabricator, what do people need to try to explain it in a welding sense of support that people can understand?
I mean, that's hard to do, but, um,
See what you come up with.
like, on the four-wheeler that I got off of you had some stuff on there, and with that upward pressure, like I said, the round tube that the axle slide into, the hitch was welded onto it, and it lifted it up and
Hmm.
tore the material. And so we brought it back to the house and got it back down where it needed to be. And I got that welded back on. And then from that, um, I had put some thick material underneath it so that it would not be able to bend up. So mainly what you need to do if you've got that upward pressure is you need to have enough thickness underneath that
Hmm.
will not bend up. So I did that. I put something thick under it, and then I welded gussets on the side of the hitch and back to the axle. So kind of like a triangular to spread out the stress
Hmm.
wider so that the material can take the beating. So I mean, I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
you put
you
the thick stuff underneath and put gussets back
didn't you
on
like
an
if
angle.
this is the hitch back here, or this is the axle, the
Right.
hitch is here. Didn't you
Mhm.
weld angle iron here?
I had to put something on top too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
I did that too, but the welding was not very
Well,
good.
actually, your welds held.
Yeah.
It was the
The
axle
casing.
tube that tore. Yeah,
Right.
that tore because it was the thinnest material of all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what ended up, like I said, I had to beef it up and spread out the stress so that the axle takes it. And to this day, it's sitting out in my garage, and I haven't done anything to it since.
Mhm.
And I still use implements on the back of that four wheeler all the
You have
time.
2 of them now, right? You have 2 groundhogs?
I do have two. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so when I first started making YouTube videos, I was actually working with the company, um, and they ended up selling the owner sold it to a group of people or whatever, and they had, like, no idea about the thing, they had no idea how to market it, advertise it, nothing, and it got confusing on who was dealing with who, and then they couldn't figure it out how to promote the company. So then the original owner got back involved, and then he got me back in there a little bit, and then they just I don't know what happened. It was they lost communication with everybody and all that. But I guess that's the first one on our list, and it does work.
Yeah, it works. It works fairly well. Now the key to it is to go down incrementally.
Hmm.
People, I think where people go wrong is they try to, and if you don't know what we're talking about, like you can back the bike up on blocks
Hmm.
and lower this thing down.
Yep.
It has almost what looks like a pintle hitch on it. So it has a bunch of holes drilled in it, and you got to place a pin. And a lot of people will just lower that sucker down deep so that it's trying to hog, deep, and you can't do that. You need to start holding that thing up so that it's just scratching the surface. Do a
Hmm.
couple rounds, come back, lower it
It,
a hole
yeah.
or
It
so,
takes a
you
little
know.
time.
Yeah, you got to just take a little bit of bite at a time. And another key um is to do it when there's some ground moisture.
Hmm.
Don't
Yeah.
go out in the dead of
Yeah.
summer and try to be doing this.
Yeah. It's
So
not going to work on
so
impacted.
that's your two keys to using that implement.
Yeah. I used to use 4x4 blocks of
Mhm.
wood that I just backed up. We used to take them to the farm, I think, or at the farm we use cinder blocks, but
Yeah.
um, 4x4
You
blocks work good with
you
it
can
too.
use a cinder block, you can use a log. I
Hmm.
actually built some, little
Ramps.
wooden ramps,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
they're light, so I would just throw them on the back of the rack and haul them with
Hmm.
me.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. So
but yeah,
ground.
I did a few people's properties with that. I did Jet's food plot with it
Hmm.
up there at the church, so
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if they have a website anymore. I haven't looked at
I
them.
don't know.
I
I
do
think,
know Tractor Supply sells them.
I was gonna say, I think Tractor Supply is about the
Yeah.
only place you find them now, and they're
Yeah.
getting pricey.
They are. They're a little hefty
I
on
seen them
price.
for like 380 or something now, or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, they're
You
about
know,
400 bucks. I think when I first started getting them, they were like maybe 270, 275, something like that. But the cost, it just price went up. So,
and they're
um,
adjustable to a certain point too. I mean, like I the first one started getting wobbly,
mhm,
like it was
the
loosening
bearings
up.
on it.
The bearings were
Yeah.
getting loosened up, but you can actually get in between and you can tighten
Mhm.
those up a little bit. Um, and one of them was getting locked up, and I loosened it up and sprayed some grease in there and tightened it back up and spun it, and it's fine. I'm
Yeah.
still using the original, and I don't even have to. The second one was like new, so
Mhm. It cuts it because you're using the weight of the four wheeler and the weight of the driver to dig into the ground, and that thing, I mean, it cut through, you weeds and
yeah.
small roots and things, rips
It's
right through it.
serrated. It's
Yeah.
serrated. It's got the serrated cuts, and it seemed like the faster you went, it would throw a nice rooster tail out the
It
back.
would.
I
Remember
mean,
remember
it was cool.
remember we dissed up the, that old logging road we cleared up? We
Yeah,
got it on video.
how many comments we got about, "You idiots driving so fast," and
Yeah, we were going like 40 mile an hour down this road and a rooster tail of from the groundhog shooting
it
50
made
feet
great
out the back.
video though, didn't it?
It did. It was cool. We tore that thing up though. It
Yeah,
worked.
we got negative comments, people, "Look at these idiots."
Right. It's all
That's
fun though.
hilarious. So, yeah,
Um,
moving on, like you said, the
yeah,
Black
let's
Dwarf was next probably.
yeah, let's jump to that. Cuz I ended up getting that and I used it with the same four-wheeler that you now have, the
Mhm.
Yamaha uh, 250,
Yeah.
and I used it a little bit around local around me, and then ended up taking it up to the farm. Personally, I didn't like that one. Um, it did. It had the hydraulic uh,
Yeah, the electric cylinder
cylinder on it that could put force,
down.
down. It was hard to steer if you put too much force on it,
Yeah.
and with all ATV discs, it needs weight. That's
Mhm.
why the hydraulic was there to help give it that downward pressure. But personally,
Okay.
I didn't like it.
Mm.
It did. It was wider. What's that thing? 4 feet?
Yeah, it's as wide as the four-wheeler.
Yeah. So
So
3.5, 4 feet,
that was the
something.
only downfall with the groundhog, was it was narrower than the
Yeah. It was
four-wheeler, so
only
you had to
right.
do of,
Yeah.
uh, a lot of passes and overlap.
Hmm.
With the black bore, it's, like I said, as wide as the four-wheeler is, so you can go ahead and just have nice paths.
Yeah.
I
I
like
use.
using it for screening.
Yeah.
It
Right.
works good for me for screening.
Yeah. Um, I use it at the farm a little bit, and then the day that we disc the sunflowers in
Yeah.
to improve that soil there, we got a lot of hate for that too. But I think you came over that Saturday. I ended up going back Sunday,
Yeah,
and I snapped. That's when the hitch snapped.
and then you
Um, and then I snapped, and then I called you for backup. Trailered the four wheeler and the
trailered
hitch
it
over to
over.
your house, and then you ended up beefing it up, and it's been
Yeah,
fine ever since.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So that the problem with that was when you lift that thing up, it's stuck so far out from the four wheeler, and you hit the bumps, you're bouncing, and you got all that weight that's sitting on this little hitch. It snapped. So what you started doing, you beefed it up, but then I think you started raising it up and then using like a ratchet strap to strap it to the back rail. That
Yeah,
way it can't.
yeah, when I would lift it and transport it,
Hmm.
I would when I lifted it up, I would take a strap or a chain and go to the rear rack
Hmm.
so that it couldn't bounce,
Right.
and I would take the slack out of that just by I put a toggle switch up on my
Hmm.
front fender, and I have float up and down, so I can control that cylinder. So I would raise it all the way up and hook a chain or a strap to it, and then I would just press down until it got really taut.
Right.
And then any bump you would hit, it didn't have a chance to get back there and get bouncy. It would,
Hmm.
I mean, there's a certain little bit of movement, but I mean, it wasn't enough to snap anything. But you got upset with it and threw it in the weeds. And
I
I was
did.
like, What are you doing with that?" And you're like, "You want it? It's junk. Take it." I'm like, "It ain't junk." And so we ended up hauling it back to the house too. And
Now you have that.
I brainstormed. And what I found out I needed to do was when you when you lift up or put pressure down, what it's doing essentially is it creating a fulcrum in the middle of the bike.
Hmm.
And what it's doing is it when you're pressing down, it's lifting your bike up. When you're picking up, it's forcing your bike down. So I got the bright idea. What I need to do is bottom out the suspension.
Hmm.
So what I did is I took a ratchet strap and I went around the rear axle and up to the rear rack, and I jump on the bike and bottom out the suspension, and I would tighten up the ratchet strap, and then I would ratchet it down until it totally bottomed out that unishock in the back, unistrut, unishock, whatever you want to call it. So I would bottom out the suspension totally, rock bottom, and then when you go out and use the thing, you can lift it and raise it, and it's just like using the weight of the bike again, just like the Groundhog Max, and
Hmm.
it works fine that way. Um, There again, though, like you said, when you have the down pressure, it's hard to steer. So that's why I like to use it on my screening because
Mhm.
it's
'Cause you're
always
just going
straight
straight.
shots. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I can lift it and get turned around and come back the other direction, of course. But the electric cylinder is awesome, but it is a worm drive. Literally, it is so slow up
Yeah.
and down. So
Mhm.
it's a little time consuming to use,
Yeah.
but it does. Once I figured out how to use it, you had to think like an engineer to to make this thing work. So I mean, it wasn't real user friendly. Um, I don't know what other I don't know what other UTVs or ATVs anybody out there that might have the black bore. Maybe you have a comment to say how you use it. That's the way I had to use it to make it work. I don't know really how it would work that good
Yeah.
because,
I mean,
like you said, once you start putting down pressure, it lifts the vehicle up.
yeah, that's the that's why we're going over this because anytime you use an ATV to with disc, any sort of implement, there's always pros and cons to it, and
Yeah,
you have to get creative. It's not like a tractor where you got 1,000 pound piece of machinery on the back with all that weight and all that. So ATVs, yeah, I mean that's still how I do food plots with an ATV.
it's
But
hard because you just have that little hitch and
yeah,
you've got this big implement hanging out the back. You
it
know,
just you got to get creative,
so you've got to be part welder, part fabricator, part
right?
engineer. I
Yeah,
mean, you've got to get it figured out.
yeah, and really, I mean, I see some guys, and I was guilty of it too years and years ago, but I would always try to go super deep disking. But
Hmm.
now, as long as you just get the first couple inches of the top,
Yeah,
you're good. You don't need to go super deep unless like it's your first initial, breaking of the ground where you're trying to incorporate lime into it and all
yeah,
that. Yeah, you might want to go down, as much as you can to get that lime in there. But after that, you only need to go a first, couple inches or so.
yeah. Just enough to
Yeah.
scratch the surface.
Yep.
Because all you're gonna do is unearth stuff you don't need anyhow.
Yeah. Now I
Rocks.
did use the black bore cultipacker.
Oh
Uh
yeah, that
Not a
was a
fan.
failure. That was a
Not a fan.
failure.
Not a
The
fan at
first
all.
time we used it, it fell apart.
Yes. Not a fan of
I
that
mean,
at
I
all.
hate to badmouth them, but it did. It fell. It literally fell apart
Yeah.
the
It's
first
not
time we used it.
wasn't good at all. Now they do make other implements. They have a chisel plow, they have a rake, um uh,
Yeah, it's like a yard rake.
yeah, some a few other things, but that's our experience with that. So out of those two, I'm gonna pick the Groundhog Max.
Mm. It's easy use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then uh, jumping up, I did a huge upgrade and got a Furminator, the ATV Furminator. Now this thing is it was a beast.
Yeah.
It weighs about 880 pounds.
Heavy.
I still to this day highly recommend the Groundhog Mac, or sorry, the Furminator. It is 880 pounds. It discs. It's built in. It's got a cultipacker, a seed box on it. It's not a no-till drill at all. It gets confusing. People get confused with it. It is not a no-till drill, but you can plant 4 foot wide pass, swaths, and drop the seed within that 4 foot, pass. It's not going to plant corn in rows or nothing like that. Um, but that thing has multiple different angles of the discs, and it's on a hydraulic, so you can raise and lower and put depending how deep you want to go. But my four wheeler is an 800 Sportsman 4x4, and I couldn't go all the way down with the Furminator. Um, but that thing will rip the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, we got video. I mean, it rips because of the weight. Any type of implement like that, you have to have the weight to it. And that thing, it's a beast. It's a
Now
monster.
I know we're talking like ATV models, but
Yeah.
I hooked this thing behind my tractor, my farm tractor,
I remember.
and that sucker really rips. I
Yes.
wish I wish I had the 6-foot model behind my tractor.
Yes. Now
That would be nice.
let's explain this. So the ATV model has a tongue on it that you can hook to a hitch.
Mhm.
You can take that off and it becomes a 3-point setup to where you can hook
Yes.
it to a tractor.
Mhm.
Now, your tractor, we tried to hook it up. The tractor wouldn't pick it up. Remember
Ye
that?
yeah, I had some issues going on with the
With
pump.
you had some hydraulic, you had to like change it around or whatever to get it to lift it up.
Yeah, I was low on fluid and
Yeah,
I had an old hose and stuff, so
right.
I just upgraded the hose and refilled the reservoir and stuff because I wasn't used to lifting anything that heavy, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah,
and
but
so
it will convert it to a 3-point, or you can use it on a regular ball,
mm,
a ball hitch.
and I've got a lot
Um,
of videos using that Ferminator on
yeah,
the channel they can
yeah,
watch too.
we got tons of videos on that. We got tons of videos on the blackboard and tons of videos on the groundhog. Um,
But
the
yeah, the sucker is a beast.
Yep, William. We see William at the Harrisburg show every year. He's funny, nice guy. They have no-till drill. They have a,
Wonder if that
uh,
stuck, the no-till drill.
I think so.
'Cause he
Um,
the last time we talked to him, he said that it didn't take off real well and they might not produce it anymore.
yeah, they had it was some weight issues. It wasn't heavy enough, is what he was saying.
Yeah. But
Um,
if they made it heavier, then you couldn't pull it with an ATV.
right. Yeah, so I got to talk to him about that at the show. But they have rototillers, 8 foot, 10 foot rototillers, and I know I've sold many of them on client trips I go to. Um, Everybody seems to ask me about the Ferminator. So I remember one
It's a
time.
cool implement. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, the only downside to it that I can personally say is if you're by yourself,
yep,
it
you gotta
sucks
keep
trying to move it around.
well, that and you gotta keep getting off and turning the switch
Oh yeah, to
so
drop
that
the
it'll
seed.
drop the seed
Right.
because it's chain driven by the rolling of the
Cultipacker.
packer on the back.
Yep.
So if your packer isn't touching the ground, you're not able to drop seed because
Yeah.
the chain isn't rolling.
Yeah. So you got
So
to pull a little pin out and twist it to get
mhm.
it to drop seed. And when you're done dropping, you have to get off, flip the pin. It's not a huge deal, but
No,
Um, it is what, like I said, there's pros and cons and everything. But as far as ripping the ground up, that's the best I've seen with an ATV model.
yeah,
That
yeah.
by far.
Mhm.
Um, and then cultipackers. Now, I'm not a huge fan of cultipacking. I know you have a roller. Um,
Yeah,
I'm actually I'm actually completely against rollers. I don't like them. And I have
it
several videos where,
depends on what I'm planting if I roll.
yeah, I'm not a fan of it, but that's fine. Um, I had tons of videos on my channel where literally I disc, smooth it out with a drag harrow, throw out my seed, done, finished. I think a lot of people cause themselves to fail when they use rollers. Um, if you're going to use that type of thing, I think you should use an actual cultipacker, not a roller. Um, but they can work, I guess, in some instances. But I don't think they're needed all the time.
Yeah,
I like a drag harrow better.
I don't use them very often, but there's certain instances depending on the consistency of the dirt or whatever is
Hmm.
happening.
Yeah. Did you ever
Um,
buy a drag, or do you still use
I
your buddies up
still
the
use
street?
Al's. He keeps telling me don't buy one. You can just use his whenever I want to. You know,
Gotcha. And you
because
can just drive there to get it.
yeah,
The four wheel.
and you know the bar in the chain with the round eyelet on it.
Hmm.
I made him one
Mm.
because he has both. He has the 8 foot version. Did you get all 8 feet, or did you just get the 4 footer, 4x4?
I just got the four.
Okay,
Yeah.
he has the 4x8, so it's two 4x4s.
Right.
You can hook them together,
Yeah.
but like my ATV won't pull 8 foot of it.
Mhm.
I'd have to hook that to my tractor. But what I did do is if he's if I want to borrow a 4 footer, I went ahead and made a bar and a chain and a loop and stuff so that I could borrow half of it and he could still have half that he could use at his place.
Mhm.
So that's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
yeah, he keeps telling me, "Don't buy one, don't buy one." And I can't figure. I don't know what his logic is. Maybe he's figuring he's going to get too old to food plot and he's just going to give it to me or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
But but it's free to use and it's a couple doors down. So he says
Right.
anytime I want it, just come get it. So even if he's not home, I just pull around the back of the building and grab it and take off, and he knows where it's at.
Yeah, one day I got frustrated and just drove the Punxsutawney tractor supply.
Yeah,
Ended up just buying one.
I love them.
Um, yeah, they work great. Great.
I love them.
Heavy, heavy duty for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so there's all types of different ways with with this, but you just have to get creative. I mean, I spent almost $1,000 on this little ATV disc last year, and
Oh, I forgot about that.
yeah, that thing.
Are you gonna say what it was?
I don't even know the brand, but it was from Tractor Supply, but it wasn't like their brand. This thing was a dude. I'm gonna get high blood pressure thinking about it. This
What
thing,
what did you do with it?
it's sitting at my farm. It's sitting in the weeds.
Should have
Probably
sold that thing.
no, it's still sitting there. But
So you should have sold it.
it wouldn't even rip the ground. I mean, I had pow I mean, so much weight, bags of sand and cinder blocks on this thing and bags of seed and fertilizer and lime. I mean, it wouldn't even scratch the surface.
Huh.
Biggest piece of junk I've ever spent money on.
Wow.
Um, so it's just you got to be careful with discs and ATV for ATVs. I mean, the Firminator by far is the best I've used so far. There's other ones out there. Um, Blackboard does work. Groundhog Max does work. You just have to be creative with everything and have some patience.
Well, I would say the black boar, you would have to have it tore up a little bit before you attempt it
Yes, definitely.
because it was so wide that it would actually just kind of float on
Sit.
top.
Yes, that's what was
Yeah.
happening with that disc that I bought. It
Yeah.
just sit on right on
So
top.
if I tore it up a little bit with my oh, what's it called? Spring harrows. If I
Hmm.
tore it up a little bit with the spring harrow first, then the black boar will take over and do a fine job.
Right.
But to just go over, like if they mowed it down tight and just tried to disc it, it
Ain't
was
gonna
just
work.
too wide. It would just float around.
Yep.
Whereas the groundhog would actually cut.
Yeah, because you're only talking this much.
Yep. Yep.
Whatever it is, 2 feet.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, so that's all I got for today on 110, or I should say 1,967.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I mean, there's good information in there. I
Hmm.
mean, somebody's probably looking for something, and if they didn't hear what they wanted to hear, what we said, comment below and ask a question. We'll
Hmm.
let you know what we think about these products, and what our experience was
I have
in
one last question.
case people are looking for it.
I have one last question. Did you get a sponsorship? Yes, yet with Swiss Miss?
That is silly. I wish they
Remember
would.
that? Who was it sent us a thing on
I would drink.
Instagram?
I would
Who
drink
was
them
that?
dry.
Who was that?
Dave Terrell.
Oh, that's it. They sent you a Swiss Miss.
What?
You
What?
got
That was beer. What was that? Beer battered rib or something? I
I
don't know.
can't remember, but you
He's
got
like, I,
him.
I recommend you wash this down with Swiss Miss.
Yeah. So now there's a trend started, and Chris is
Everybody's
Swiss
catching
Miss.
on. That's gonna
Teddy's
be that's gonna be my hashtag, Swiss Miss.
yep. Teddy's on it. Terrell's on it. Yeah, man. We're gonna spread it.
Well, here's the deal. I don't drink hot fluids unless it's chicken
Swiss Miss.
broth or Swiss Miss.
We know. We know.
I don't do
All right.
coffee.
Yeah, we know.
Coffee will kill me.
Podcast. Podcast 110. We'll see you guys on 111.
See you guys.
Later. Look at that. Look at that.